So in the early 90s, I'm super young, and a commercial comes on TV. They are telling me to journey to a land where I can face fierce barbarians, uncover treasure, encounter dark magic, and all this other craziness. And I'm looking at all these little kids around a table, like doing strategy as these plastic pieces are all over the board. I think the tagline was something like, once you play it, it gets into you, or it gets you, or something crazy like that. And sure enough, the little kid turns around the table, and he's no longer a little kid. He's a goblin. I always thought it was interesting about the HeroQuest commercial is that one of the first things they say is that you'll face fierce barbarians. But you get to play the barbarian. You never face a barbarian. Whatever. It's time to talk about HeroQuest, one of my favorite games of all time. Look, HeroQuest is back because, of course, Milton Bradley, or not Milton Bradley, actually Hasbro, this time, is along with Avalon Hill, just announced their remake of this classic. And at first, I'm still very excited for it. But at first, I would think I was overly excited because I'm just a HeroQuest fanboy. And, part of me was just like, oh my God, take my money. And I think for a long time I was following the Kickstarter. There was a Kickstarter that was doing a HeroQuest 25th anniversary edition. Well, come to find out, the people doing that Kickstarter had no right to it. It was all copyright infringement and all of that. And so they killed that project. And it looked really cool. And it looked like that project looked like an homage to HeroQuest, and like it was going to update the mechanics for someone who plays as intricate board games as, myself and people like myself and people in the community who love HeroQuest. And so that went away. And so I thought that's what this might be. I am not upset. I was a little surprised, but I do understand it now. This is really just a facelift to a classic. But to be honest, it is a classic that deserves the facelift. I've listened to some people's chagrin about this, and to some people's praise about this project, and why is Hasbro doing it, Kickstarter and all that. I'm not really here to talk about all that, and I get most of the people's points. But I'll tell you this. I am excited about it from a standpoint of, there's plenty of people out there who don't have a copy of this and who don't want to maybe bit piece it or create it from scratch. And to have just a box version of it. It'd be nice to have, I would like to have the new version, next to my old version. So I probably was, the sucker that will go out and buy this, this box with nothing being changed other than they've added female characters. If you hit one of the tiers, you get all of the genders. I think for the basic kit, they just turn the elf into a female, and then they from a sword. That character now has a bow. So all cool stuff, all cool updates. I'm with it. But for the most part, it looks like it's the exact same game. And for some people, they're like, why would the thing about HeroQuest? It is extremely simple. It is kind of hard to play that game like that now, knowing what being an adult. I wonder if the nostalgia value wears off fast for some people. But at the same time, how many updates has Monopoly got? How many updates does Candyland have? This is one of those classic games that does deserve a 2021 update. So I'm excited to see it, come to fruition. And I believe there are enough fans to see it happen. And I do miss the Games Workshop art look and that just kind of dirty Frazetta, gritty, grimy look to the art. It's very flashy and cleaned up, almost comic book like now. But another reason I'm kind of here to talk about it is because, as excited I was to run out and can't wait for that to come, even though I plan to fund it, I probably won't have it for another year or two. So in the meantime, I had sitting here like, Malcolm, not only do I have HeroQuest, right, but everybody who has HeroQuest has probably done their own revised rules, right? You've probably tinkered with it a little bit. I think some people tinker with it too much. Some people tinker with HeroQuest so much that it's like, whoa, do you want to play Dungeons and Dragons? Because at this point, if you're doing vision and movement speeds and different classes, why don't you just play D&D? There's no point. I think the charm of HeroQuest is just how simple it is. But some of the drawback is just how simple it is. And so what I thought, I made my own custom version of HeroQuest, including a board and everything as like most people, and found the right miniatures that I wanted to complete my set, use Game Workshop Orcs, use Game Workshop Chaos Warriors, and so forth. And then even recently when I picked up the Warlock tiles from my Wiz Kids, I'm like, dude, I can build all the HeroQuest, maps. Whenever, you can use any, you can use Dwarven Forge terrain or any of the multi, terrain options that are out there to create a HeroQuest that would feel updated and super cool, and that would have a wow factor, right? When people look at the board. There's even some great dice that you can get, all multicolored, and they have different types. Like, so you can decide if you're changing for rules, you can have like some of the dice have the 2 skulls or 3 skulls on them or 2 shields on them, and they're different colored, and so you can come up with different combinations on how to try to add some intricacy to the game. And now you can get those from overseas or whatever. And I have some of those as well, all part of my game, and I've kind of got a streamline set of rules to try to update it, but not too much, just to make it to have a few more options. So in the end, I guess HeroQuest is HeroQuest, and if you want to play it again, you're doing it for nostalgia. But I guess the one thing I did want to go over is there is a reason to play this game again. When you're a kid, you play it in a lot of just the joy of opening a door and watching the Zargon put terrain into a room, this little cramped room, and put a couple goblins in there, and you have to fight them. That was a certain joy to that. With all the D&D that we played, or different games that we played, and other types of board games, that could wear off quickly. But what I truly think where HeroQuest could shine, both this new edition and this old one, busting out my old box, is to literally try to tell that story. It's a very simple story, right? A story of an evil wizard at the forefront, building an army to come after the Empire, and 4 heroes are sent on this journey. I'd like to tell the story of those heroes. I'd like to tell the story of Zargon, and I'd like to not change much and use the basic 14 quests and the expansions, if we get to the expansions, but to play it with a DM that will run the game like D&D. So I want to try that. Being a dungeon master who has a passion and a love for this game, I'd like to run the dungeons like living, breathing dungeons. What would it be like without all the extra rules? Just to maybe have the simple idea that those goblins that are sitting in the barracks 3 rooms away might not stay there. Maybe one goes down the hall to take a piss or goes to refill their ale. By doing that, I think that by having an adult brain and reading very, very simple a very, very simple layout for an adventure, it gives the DM or the Zargon dungeon master a great deal of I think ways to play those dungeon crawls creatively, but while staying very confined to a dungeon crawl. And in D&D, often I like HeroQuest 2 because the dungeon crawls are fast. We can get through an entire dungeon crawl in a couple hours, or maybe 45 minutes even sometimes. Whereas in D&D, you may get down with how intricately the dungeons are designed, and because the players are extremely paranoid, they take 30 minutes to decide what move they're going to make, right? So you might spend an entire night in a hallway and a room, or 2 rooms, maybe at most. And then after they fight, they're going to camp and they're going to lock all the stuff down, and it's all great. Don't get me wrong, but I like HeroQuest because it's just, it's sword and sorcery and it's might and mayhem. It is get in there, slash and kill, and try to move your way through this dungeon as quickly as possible and without dying. And don't get me wrong, it's not the dice could go wrong in the game and you could be dead very quickly. But even so, you don't have a lot, there's not a lot of there's not the same level of stakes, right? You don't have a beloved character that you've been playing for, or that you took 3 hours to build and write their backstory and they die in 20 minutes. And so I am really excited to delve back into HeroQuest. So I actually, when I started my meetup group, I tried it at the beginning and there was nobody that was about it. I've talked to a few people about it, so I am excited about kicking up HeroQuest reprised. And that is going to be on, not revised, but reprised. The reprisal of HeroQuest. Probably be doing those on Wednesday nights, on the alternate Wednesday nights. We're not doing Storm King's Thunder, and I think it might be an easy way for, might be good, good nights where I can game, but also not have put like 14 hours of planning into each session, and just have fun at the table, and see where it goes. I could be wrong. This could go bad. I might find that after 2 or 3 games of HeroQuest, that maybe I can't stomach the old game like I thought. Maybe it's not worth trying to trudge through 14 old quests of HeroQuest. What do you guys think? Do you guys think I'm crazy to try to rerun that campaign with new players who like or don't like HeroQuest? Or I mean, like or maybe don't know much about HeroQuest. Do you think I should just give it up, move on to a better game? Um, and I'll be trying to run this online as well. So, what challenges will that provide? Everyone needs the dice, right? I was thinking about either sending them to everyone, because I have multiple sets that I could probably send out with each person's ticket, or even to the fact that if you look at the way the dice are built, you can play with d6s, right? You can say a 1 is a black skull, 2 and 3 are shields, and 4, 4, 5, and 6 are skulls. There you go. That's essentially that's the HeroQuest dice, right? 3 skulls, 2 shields, 1 black shield for the monsters. Monsters. That's it. So, what do you guys think? Tell me if I'm silly for even trying, but I love HeroQuest. I think I want to try it. I think it's time to bust the old game back out, blow the dust off of it, and see where things go. But till I do that, you guys have a good night, and thanks for stopping by.